Hey everyone, so about 2 years ago, I made a video where I ranked 10 of the Norfolk Southern heritage units that I had seen at that point. Well, since then, I have seen all 20 of them. Now, I do understand that they did make another one, which would make 21 heritage units. However, in order to stick to my original video idea, I'm just going to be ranking the original 20. So if you did not watch my original video, the basic premise is that I'm going to be ranking all 20 of the Norfolk Southern heritage units based on only the first time that I had ever seen them. So obviously this list is going to look a little bit different than if I were to rank all 20 of them in order from my least favorite to my favorite. I may do another video on that in the future. There are a lot of engines to get to in this video, so let's just get started. Coming in at number 20 is Conrail. My opinions on this really have not changed since the first time we saw it. Even though I really do love this paint scheme, it was tucked away really deep into an oil yard and it just made it really difficult to see, so that's pretty much what gives it the last spot on this list. Coming in at number 19 is Central of Georgia. This one I caught by surprise while driving on my way to work. Again, just like Conrail, even though I really do like this paint scheme, it was unfortunately really difficult to see because of how far away it was, which again puts it here at the bottom of the list. You're pretty much going to notice a trend here with the engines on the bottom of this list, and a lot of these are just engines that are really difficult to see, whether that's because of how far away they are or because of the lighting. Unfortunately, in this case, the lighting was the problem. At number 18, we have Central Railroad of New Jersey. The story behind this one is actually pretty unfortunate. We were chasing the Red and Blue Mountain and Northern F units, and a report came up on the Heritage Unit app, which said that Central Railroad of New Jersey was going to be entering the area soon. So we all basically sprinted over to this location, and we thought it would be there within a few minutes of heading over there. Unfortunately, the sun kept going down and the train basically was stopped. Eventually it did end up coming and we did end up seeing it. However, the lighting was just absolutely terrible and we were not prepared at all to get this thing in the dark. Number 17 is the original Norfolk Southern Heritage Unit. Yet another shot that was kind of ruined by the lighting. Now, I did end up putting this one ahead of Central Railroad of New Jersey, even though it wasn't leading the train, simply because the lighting around the mill kind of made it a little bit easier to see it. Now, thankfully, I was able to see this unit 2 more times since this video. One of those times, it was leading in very good daylight. But unfortunately, because this was the first time I did see it, that's going to put it here at the bottom of the list. Number 16 is the Wabash Heritage Unit, yet another heritage unit that I actually caught by surprise on my way to work. This one I put above the rest just because of how much more I was able to see the unit when I was there taking videos and pictures and all that. At number 15 is the New York Central Heritage Unit. This was actually the very last heritage unit that I had to catch in order to complete all the original 20. Not much else to say here except for the lighting. The lighting was very good, which was a huge bonus. Alright, so now we're starting to get into the more interesting ones. Number 14 is the Norfolk and Western Heritage Unit. Pretty awesome catch. The engineer was really friendly and was giving us a lot of horn shows on its way through. We actually went up the road a couple miles and caught it a couple more times. The only thing that would have made this better was if this unit had been leading. I have not seen this unit leading. Actually, to this day, this video is still the only time I've ever seen this particular engine. But still, other than that, it was still a really cool shot, and I was glad that we got to see it. Oh boy, number 13, the Lehigh Valley Heritage Unit. This one gave me a lot of trouble. On this particular day, Lehigh Valley was on 36A. Now, 36A has a bit of an irregular schedule. Sometimes it can be the same frequency, other days it can be totally different. So I saw the unit sitting in the yard, and I knew it was about to start working the yard and building its train together in preparation for it to depart. Little did I know that it was going to take roughly 2.5 hours for this train to be built. There were several times throughout the night where I just kind of felt like leaving, but the train kind of kept teasing me. The engine would pull its entire train within like 80 feet of me. I would see the lights and then it would slowly back up and out of view, and so I wouldn't be able to see it. Eventually I was able to get it pulling all the way up to the crossing and then backing back over the crossing. Unfortunately, I never did get to see it depart onto the main line, but I was still glad that I did eventually get to see it in the lights that I had set up. Next up is Monongahela at number 12. This was yet another one that we caught by surprise. We were actually on our way to a different rail fanning spot. Even though it wasn't leading, I think what puts this one above some of the other ones is simply the fact that it just comes with a lot of different memories. We saw this unit during a time when we kind of didn't really know what we were doing. We had just gotten into the hobby of rail fanning, and this was just a really cool experience to be able to see something like this and have no idea that it was coming. The Savannah and Atlanta Heritage Unit comes in at number 11. I actually never realized until I went to make this video just how many Heritage Units I've seen simply because of just me driving home from work. I work in construction, so where I work is a little bit different every single day, and depending on where I'm at, I'll usually just pace the Norfolk Southern Harrisburg line on my way home from work. I was listening to my scanner, and I actually was following two trains, 11N and 200, and I sat here and watched 11N go by, and then I was just going to sit here and wait for 200. There were no reports on this engine at all, and so I had no idea this thing was going to be leading this particular train. Despite the lighting not really being the best, I think the thing that just sets this apart from some of the other ones is just the fact that there's really nothing quite like seeing a Heritage Unit by surprise. Alright, at the halfway point, we have the Reading Line's Heritage Unit at number 10. Now, this is one of my favorite Heritage Units, and because of that, I'm happy to say that I've seen this unit almost about 7 or 8 times, I think. Now, the first time we saw this one, we actually went out on a hunch, thinking that it was going to be sitting in a quarry yard, and it turns out we were right, and we were able to go and get a bunch of cool pictures of it. Number 9 is the Virginian Heritage Unit. I've seen this engine about 8 times, and I have not seen it a single time leading, which is very unfortunate. Another one that we caught by surprise, we were actually filming a local doing some shifting work, and we heard another train coming up beside it, and so we decided to pan and film it, and actually I didn't even notice it at first, but still a really cool catch, and definitely one of my favorite catches of that year for sure. Number 8 is the Nickel Plate Road. This is a bit of a weird one because it was one that we sort of caught by surprise. We kind of had thought that maybe he was going to be on this train, but at the time we were both really hesitant to just assume that he was. The thing that puts this one ahead of Virginian, I think, is simply because we were able to actually chase this one down the line a little bit more to get a better look at it. Number 7 on the list is the Pennsylvania Railroad Heritage Unit. This was the first Heritage Unit that I had ever caught, and of course, it was by surprise. I was very close to not seeing this, actually. I was about to leave and go home, and then I figured, I'll just stay a little bit longer, and sure enough, a train randomly appeared out of nowhere, and it had the Heritage Unit on the front. Not much else to say here. I was really happy it was leading, which made for a really great first Heritage Unit catch. Number 6 is the Erie Heritage Unit. This was by far one of the most satisfying catches I think we've ever gotten. We were rail fanning in Port Royal, Pennsylvania, and we had basically been kind of keeping our eye on this engine for a little while. Eventually, we watched it go across the horseshoe curve via the virtual rail fan horseshoe curve cam, and then we kind of just all we could do was sit back and wait for it to get here. From the time we had seen the engine on the camera to actually seeing it in person was about 2.5 hours, which was a pretty long time, but it was definitely worth the wait for sure. Number 5 is Penn Central, another one that was incredibly satisfying to catch. We knew that it was leading a coal train, but at some point it had just completely disappeared from the radar. Turns out it was just sitting in Rose Yard, located in Altoona, and I guess it was doing some sort of crew change or something. I just remember sitting there in the truck, and all of a sudden I see these headlights turn the corner with the very distinct Penn Central logo, and we just sprinted out of the truck to the platform to get set up in time. The Lackawanna Heritage Unit comes in at number 4. This one has a pretty interesting story with it as well. We were sitting in Port Royal, just kind of rail fanning as normal. We had no idea this train was coming. And all of a sudden, we had a westbound on the track that was the closest to us go by. And I think we were about probably midway through the train, and all of a sudden we heard a horn. And sure enough, a train actually passed on the other side of it, but it was being blocked by the one that had passed first. And I didn't even notice anything at first, but then my brother started yelling at me, and I was just really confused. I was like, what the heck is going on? And it turns out the Lackawanna Heritage Unit was actually leading the train that was passing the other one behind it. So we just threw all of our gear into the truck and just got to Cove as quickly as possible, which was, I think, a 45-minute drive, which was a little nerve-wracking. But we did eventually make it in time to set up and get a nice shot of it going across the crossing here. Number 3 is the Illinois Terminal Heritage Unit. This is by far one of my favorite shots that I have ever gotten. The lighting was great, the location was great, everything was just going very, very well. This was just one of those instances when we knew that the Heritage Unit was coming, and so we just got ahead of it, set up, and got an amazing shot, and then actually chased it down the line a little bit and was able to get it once again in Blandon. Number 2 is the Interstate Heritage Unit. Now, if there is one thing better than catching one Heritage Unit, it's catching 2 Heritage Units. This was one of my favorite catches of the year. It's very, very rare to see 2 Heritage Units on the same train. I don't know, there's just something so cool about the Interstate Orange and the Conrail Blue that just kind of work really well together, in my opinion. And at the number 1 spot is the Southern Railways Heritage Unit. I think to this date, this is one of the luckiest catches I think I've ever had. The Southern Heritage Unit was leading NS 955, which was an OCS train coming from Atlanta, Georgia. And as an extra bonus, the Virginian Heritage Unit was actually trailing second on this train as well. Throughout the day, I had been eyeballing this train as it departed and just trying to see if it might have been possible for me to catch it, and sure enough, it ended up working out that right as my work finished, I was able to drive straight over there to end up catching it. So that is my list of all 20 of the original Norfolk Southern Heritage Units ranked based on the first time I had ever seen them. I really enjoyed making this video, and I'm actually really happy that I was able to see all 20 of them. Of course, now I gotta go catch another one because Norfolk Southern decided to make another Heritage Unit. But with that being said, I hope you all did enjoy. If you do like this kind of content, then please consider subscribing, leaving a like or a comment. I really do appreciate it. I'll see you guys in the next video.